In 2025, I secured over $500,000 in brand deals. This is genuinely so insane. I can barely wrap my head around securing that much in deals in 1 year. Clap it up. Thank you. Of course, I have my wonderful management team to thank for this insane achievement, but because I have access to those email threads, sometimes I do like peek over and just take a look at what they're doing. And because of that, I have a much better idea of how to negotiate with brands. And I'm gonna tell you some of the things that I have learned through just watching them. Now, to be clear, dang, you see that spit come out of my face? That's disgusting. Now, to be clear, out of that $500,000, it does not include the fee that my management will take. It also does not mean that last year I made $500,000, but it does mean that in the year 2025, the total amount that I will receive from signed contracts is upwards of $500,000. So for example, if it was December 31st and a brand reached out to me and said they want to do a deal for $10,000 and I signed that deal on December 31st, even though I'm going to receive the money the next year, it counts towards my 2025 deal signed. Does that make sense? I know you guys are smart enough to understand what I'm saying. I also want to be very clear, especially for my management, please, I'm not going to share any of the information and specifics for the brands that we're working with currently. But I do think that this information that I'm giving is general enough that you guys should be able to benefit from it without me getting my managers mad. Please, I love you guys. Please, please, please don't get mad at me. They're going to have to vet this before I take it out anyway. So that being said, you, like the old me, probably do not know how to negotiate. I know most people do not charge what they're worth, and most of it's because you don't know what you're doing. I was once there too. Hold on. The metrics that you might use to define your content as good are not necessarily the same as the metrics that a brand will use to determine if they want to use you as a creator in their campaign. I'm using my hands a lot. I like this. So in this video, I not only want to give you guys tips on how you can negotiate brand deals yourself, I also want to give you guys this tool that I created using Claude AI, who is a sponsor of this video. Thank you so much. I love you, Claude. To help you determine how much you should reasonably be charging for your content, and more importantly, what that process actually can look like. And the first thing that we have to talk about is the liking of this video. Firstly, hold on, and subscribe if you'd like to. I really appreciate that. I have to say it. I have to say it's 2026. I have to say it. Don't get mad at me. First thing, we're going to talk about the misconception that a lot of you guys probably have. It's kind of obvious that most of us judge the content that we make based on how well it performs. If the video gets a lot of views, then we think that the video must have been good for some reason. This makes sense like to my head, but it doesn't make a lot of sense if you really think about it. When I first started out with content creation, I did a lot of gym workout videos. You can go back and you can actually see what I did. These videos performed extraordinarily well, in my opinion. There was a point where I was getting hundreds of thousands of views on each video. And because of that, I'm thinking, well, my content must be very good because I'm doing very well when it comes to engagement. But looking back at it, this was during a time right after COVID where people needed some sort of motivation in their lives. There was a Project 50 challenge that was going really well, and people were eating up content that was about self-motivation and kind of self-help stuff. So my content performed extraordinarily well during this time because people were craving that. That being said, if I tried to post that same motivational content now, where if we look at our algorithms, we see a lot more talking head videos, a lot more education and series, it would just not perform the same way. I wouldn't have thought that my videos would be as good just because the algorithm dictated that's the case. And that's not really how we should view our work. Our content inevitably will ebb and flow. If you are on a high right now, I promise there will be a point when you will be at a low, and vice versa. If you're at a low and you continue on, because consistency is important, you are going to eventually reach a higher point than you are right now. But this is a scenario I want you guys to strongly consider. There was a point in my life where I had a video that went super viral. I have 5 million views on my post, on a little professional dashboard that you see when you log into your creator account. I hope your account's in creator. If it's not, please change it. What are you doing, bro? It's like level 1. 1 month later, that video dies down and I see that my account now has only 1 million views. That's still a lot, but it has 1 million views. It's gone down by 4 million views. Would the price that I charge a brand for a video change in that 1 month span? At 5 million views, did I have more leverage than I do at 1 million? Not necessarily. Your price should not drastically change from 1 month to another just based on a video that went viral. But a lot of you guys think that when your videos are on top, your rate should be on top. When your videos are down low, you don't really know what you're doing. We're gonna fix it. Calm down. Once you post your video, you have zero control of how the algorithm will make it perform. Zero control. And a brand that you're working with definitely understands that that's the case. So what they're looking for isn't necessarily how your videos are performing. A good brand is aware that you can't control the algorithm, and because of that, they don't always look for those metrics when it comes to determining what the price for your service should be. The metrics they can actually look for is the quality of the content that you create, the engagement and community you have with your audience, the topics that you choose to talk about, and the level of consistency that you have on your page. We're gonna get into it it in a little bit. But please do not get me wrong when I say it is good to take advantage of a trend. If you see that the algorithm right now is very educational and talking head based, there's nothing wrong with taking advantage of that, because numbers and views do matter. They just might not matter as much as you think they do. If I know that hitting the renegade or making a 6-7 joke is gonna make my content a little bit better, bro, best believe I'm doing it. So let us try to understand what a brand might actually be looking for. To be very clear, this information, as you probably assumed, is information that I'm getting from the brand deals that I've done before. I'm not claiming that I know how every single brand works. I mostly do lifestyle content and I did fitness before. So take what I'm saying with that context. When it comes to making this content for the brand, let's actually shift our perspective to thinking about what the brand is thinking about when they're hiring someone to make content for them. Brands do have the ability to take the money that they were going to give you and pay someone else. But for some reason, they're deciding to pick on creators, on people who are making content for themselves, for other people, for whatever reason. And it is my understanding that the reason they're doing this is because brands genuinely suck at getting people to care about what they do and who they are. People follow people, they don't follow brands. So you have something that they want. You have the attention of a group of people and the ability to distribute content to them. And for that reason, brands want to put their content in front of you because you are much more effective than whatever they would try to do to make a video. And you're probably cheaper too. It kind of hurt to say. Now you have to listen very closely to what I just said. Brands want to put their product in front of you. Sometimes that's it. Sometimes the goal a brand has is just to put their content in front of your audience, and that's it. There is something called a marketing funnel, and this action of just putting their content in front of people's faces is a top level. It's called awareness. The only goal of the awareness campaign is to get someone to see the product, and that's it. Just remember that this product was there. That's enough. This is so important because sometimes we believe that our audience will not buy the product that we are promoting, and therefore we should charge lower because we don't think our audience is going to buy. In reality, that brand might just want to be seen, and more importantly, they are buying something that is way more valuable than just your video. They're buying real estate. I want you to think about car insurance. If someone asked me the first two brands of car insurance that came up, I would think about Geico and I would think about Progressive. Because when I was a super young, impressionable kid and I sat down to watch TV, the Geico gecko lizard, I don't even know what that thing is, would appear on my screen and tell me about
15% or more on car insurance.
And now 10 years later on, I actually literally have Geico for my car. Now I'm not saying that, I mean, maybe I am a little bit of a sheep for that, I'm not gonna lie, but it worked. Marketing wise, it worked. Companies that are really, really good at advertising know that you might not buy their product today, but the real estate that they bought in your head might last for years and years and literally might be passed on to different people. And that is really what a good company is trying to get. Now, most of the brand deals that I do are on Instagram and TikTok, and these platforms are inherently extremely fast moving. These platforms being so fast moving means that a brand knows it might not get that much screen time in front of your face. And that makes Instagram a tool for awareness and not for any other parts of the funnel. And because we now know this information, it's crazy, by the way, guys, it is getting dark outside. I just want you to know the light is gonna change. I'm being transparent, like my windows that are changing color. Now that we know this, we know that when a brand is asking you to convert sales with a video, that's a red flag because Instagram is an awareness platform. We don't necessarily know that we can convert people to our product, which is the bottom level of the funnel, with just an Instagram video. It does not mean you shouldn't do it, but it's definitely something you should keep in the back of your head. Because like we said before, we cannot control how a video will perform. It's also important to mention that some brands have budgets that they need to spend before the end of the year. This is why Q4 is the craziest quarter, because a lot of brands have a lot of their budget still left over and they're throwing that money to creators because they know that if they don't spend it by the end of the year, they might lose out on their budget for the next year. And you're limiting yourself because you think that you know why a brand is paying for you, bro. You don't know. But now you know a little bit more. Now, what is it that some brands are looking for? I'm gonna kind of spit some stuff out quick. First, consistency. They want to see that you're actually making posts on a consistent basis. Two is engagement. And I would say more specifically how people are commenting and what they're saying. Are they leaving long comments? Is it just a fire emoji? Number three is relevancy. Does a product that this brand is selling make sense to your audience? If I'm selling someone a camera on my page, probably more likely to do well than if I'm selling someone life insurance. And lastly, I'm just gonna say quality of content. This does not necessarily mean that your content has to be filmed with a camera, but nowadays I think it might help. I think that getting better with editing makes your content stand out in this sea of content, and so I would encourage that you get a little bit better with editing. Just my opinion. Now, with all this information, how do we price ourselves appropriately? And it is this exact question that made me want to partner with Claude and create a tool that can help us out with the rest of this video. From my experience, there are two factors that play a huge role when it comes to negotiating a brand deal. Firstly, and I wish I didn't have to be this way, but firstly is your follower count. If you have more followers, there is a higher likely chance that more people will see your content. It is genuinely that simple. And for that reason, I would say a lot of people should focus on getting their content to a place where they're actually growing, as opposed to trying to negotiate deals that are just too low right now. I'm sorry, like you have to understand that. Especially from my experience, as my account grows in follower count, I can literally see the amount of money that I'm making increase proportionately, well, even exponentially, to the amount of followers that I have. This is also the reason why, as I'm making my Claude tool, I'm focusing on the amount of followers that you might have on your account to give you a realistic expectation of how much you can expect a brand to pay you. I'm also using something called the 4% rule. And this is something that I found out recently, where if you want to charge a brand for a video, you can expect to receive 4% of the following that you have. If I have 100,000 followers, I can charge $4,000 for a post on that platform. And I normally use that for Instagram and TikTok. Just a rule of thumb, does not have to be exact. So as I'm making this tool for Claude, I'm making sure to include that 4% rule constantly on the page so that a user is reminded what their 4% rule looks like. Again, you can divert, you can go higher or lower if you want, but this is just a good rule of thumb. Now, follower count is a huge piece, but like I said, it's not the most important. And the reason I think that is, there was a point where I had 200,000 followers on my Instagram page and I was not getting paid. My brand deals were in the hundreds of dollars. And I think that's because the actual most important thing is the niche that you are in. I have changed from a fitness niche now to a lifestyle niche, which opens the door to so many more deals and opportunities that I would not have had before. So it's important to make sure that the niche that you're in is actually a profitable one. And if you want to hear more about how I pivoted niches, I made an entire video about it that I will link at some point. But SparkNotes version, if you're in lifestyle, technology, finance, fashion, or beauty, or travel, you're probably going to have a much easier time with brand deals, especially deals that are coming to you, mostly because these industries have so much money to spend on creatives. Now, I really need you to listen to me. There is not a definitive number or science when it comes to pricing out your brand deals. If a brand is willing to give you $10,000 for a video, it does not necessarily mean that the next video that you get will be $10,000. It could be more, it could be less. It's not a science. What we want to do is get a value that we think is reasonable based on the amount of followers that we have and based on the niche that we're in. And we kind of have to do a little bit of investigative journalism, low key, to figure out what price this brand might offer. All right, let's get into a real world example using the calculator. Let's say that we have a brand that reaches, I need to drink some water. This atmosphere has changed a lot and it's kind of cool. Let's say that we have a camera brand that reaches out to us for an Instagram type deal. They want the same video posted to TikTok as well. And this is what the email says. One Instagram reel that's cross posted to TikTok. They're looking for one set of story posts. That's normally 3 stories from my experience. 3 months of exclusivity. Cannot work with any other brand. And 6 months of usage rights. I'm not going to get into all of what those are, especially since this tool kind of tells you a standard of what brands will ask for. But if you don't know what those are, bro, you need to know what those are. Exclusivity and usage, please look them up. Before you get into this, I actually want you to come up with a number that you think you would charge for this based on your follower count. Or don't do that. You don't have to listen to me. We could just get into it. But I mean, it'd be cool though. It'd be cool. It's on you. Now let's assume that we have 50,000 followers on Instagram and maybe 30,000 on TikTok. Because of this, let's go through the Instagram route. Since we have more followers, we probably have a little bit more leverage in that regard. You also have more leverage when brands reach out to you as opposed to you reaching out to them. Just keep that in mind. Based on the 4% rule, we know that around $2,000 is what we want to expect from a brand. But since we're going to cross post to another platform, there's a button that I've included that raises that price to 30%, and it raises the price for everything because we're not gonna have to do too much work besides just posting to the platform. This brings us to $2,600 for just that one Instagram reel that's gonna be posted to TikTok as well. Now this tool calculator that I made gives you a range, but you can insert the exact value you want, and it's gonna show up in the deliverables section on the bottom for you to select. So we put in 2,600. Now for the one story set, I'm actually gonna use the recommended values, and I think this is good because if you don't know what you're doing, just use the recommended values. It's gonna make things way easier. Same thing with usage and exclusivity. We're just gonna use the recommended values, and we can change the number of months that we want for exclusivity here, which also will add onto the total. And now we have a total of $7,722. That might be way more than you had on your paper. I'm guessing it probably is. If you're worried about how you should format that, it will create an email for you, very simplified, that gives a breakdown of what the deliverables look like in a really clean way. Now I need you to understand something again. A lot of these deals are not gonna go through, bro. A lot of these deals are too much or too out of budget for the brands you're working with, and that is perfectly fine. Brands are trying to get you to make content for them for the least amount of money they can give you. That is just how it works. works. So just because they do not match your rate does not necessarily make the deal bad. The deal becomes bad when you don't want to do the work for the rate that you proposed. But this rate that we just proposed, I promise, is higher than what you were thinking. If they accept the deal, amazing, we're happy. If they want to negotiate down, that's fine. If they are significantly lower than that rate, I would strongly suggest you do not take it. These clients, I feel like, are notorious for being difficult to work with. Please do not take those deals. And along with that, if they're trying to offer you a product for the service and you don't want the product, I would also not accept that deal unless you think it's going to be a good way to build a portfolio for another brand. Just wouldn't take that. And I really wouldn't take it if they're trying to get you to make a video based on conversions, which, like we said before, you can't control. Please do not take that either. But again, that's just what I've had to do. Sometimes it's a canon event and you just do it. I'm not judging you, bro. But regardless of what you decide to do, you always have the ability to negotiate. A good brand who wants to work with you will do that. Keep in mind, I said good brand because a lot of brands do not do that. Most of the brands that come in my inbox want me to do content for some absurd rate. I decline all of those things. Good brands are good at negotiating. They understand this game that we're playing. We want to work with those brands. And to make it a little bit easier, in that same tool on Claude, I've added in a section that allows you to put in a rate that a brand might have offered. So let's say that a brand wants to do $2,000 instead of our $2,600. This tool will create a suggestion for a counter offer and give you another email that you can send back to them. That's like a nice way of saying, please, I know you have more money. Let's not play this game. And I want to be so clear with you guys. This is actually the way that I've negotiated deals before. This is not uncommon. Even before my management, this is the system that I would use. And now this is some cool lighting for real. At the end of the day, this is going to be a learning process. You're probably going to mess up. It's what it is. Everyone messes up. But it's good to have a good understanding of why you are valuable to a brand in the first place. Now, if you guys do want to check out this calculator that I created with Claude or play around with Claude yourself, I strongly recommend it. Again, thank you to them for sponsoring this video. They are a fantastic company and genuinely creates products that I don't know how I would do myself. And if you have more questions or if I didn't touch on something that you want to know, please leave it in the comments. I'll be answering as much as I can. I don't want to promise too much. Either way, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.